Hello and welcome again to the new video of Ruqa'a script. In today's video we are going to learn the following letters seen with both shapes that it has, of course including the sheen, Sad and Dad with these two shapes, Ta and Ra, Ain, Ghain, and the inside shape of the Ain and the Ghain. Finally, Fa and Qaf. So, to learn these letters, we need to first take a look at a letter called Noon. By learning Noon and combining it with, for example, a Ba, we get a Sin, a Sheen, a Sad, a Dad. Noon is also the move for the Qaf, meanwhile the Ba is the move for the Fa. The same thing with the Ain and the Ghain. Here we have the Mim move, and here we have a new move. So as we can see, we don't learn new moves every lesson. We basically use the same letters and combine them in order to get new letters. Let's start up with the Sin and Sheen. Now for these two letters we have basically two letters to sort of write them. So the first, it's basically a combination between a Ba, this part of a Ba. Ba, as we see, is 3 points wide. Then we connect it to a Noon. To write a Noon, we basically do the same scale as a Ba, but the inside of a Noon is 2 points instead of 3. So it's slightly the same or slightly higher than a Ba, as we can see here, but the reason for that is because we've shrunk it from the sides. So you do the same rotation as a Ba, but you keep it very thin. This way it gives you a much bigger sag curve for it. We don't add this part. This part we saw there is the dot for the Noon. It comes connected. So in order to write a Sin, this is the first move, the second move, the third move, and finally the fourth move. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Keep in mind that this third move we have to extrude it in both sides, but slightly, not too much. So once we finish the Ba move, this one, we start like half a point up and we finish half a point down, just like this. We don't go all the way down, we don't give it 1 point of drop. This way it becomes really neat and we can then write this side. This also drops the end part. This end part does not come at the same height as the previous one. So again, we've got 1, 2, mind you this is slightly curved, 3 and 4. The Sin in Ruqa'a, as we saw here, comes either in a straight line shape, even inside words for example, Shams, we could write Shams this way. Sheen, Mim, and a Sin. We can tell that it's a Sheen and a Sin by the length, as we can see here. So this is easily 3 points and this is easily 3 points. We can also use the other shape, which is more familiar and people know more. It comes at 3 strokes, 3 nabirat. We basically do nabirat just like a ba or a ta nabira, but for the Ruqa'a script we have measures for these nabirat so that we could tell that it's a scene. The distance between the first and the second is 1 point. This one. The second and the third has to be slightly longer. So this one comes out 1.5. This is the half. And here's a 1. So it is longer. Then you either continue it if you were inside a word, or you just finish it. So that's the scaling of this scene. Again, with regards to these small tips we have here, we basically put the pen on the paper. Once we got the ink, we go down slides. It's just like a very short move downward, then we break out. We don't do a curve, it's just moving with the cut. As we can see here, you see this is bigger than the pen itself because I moved downward. Then we go out. This way we get this nice small tip for the scene. Now we are going to talk about something important that we forgot to mention last time. Where we connect a nabira, for example, a ba, a ta, a tha, a ya, a nun, or in some letters like the sin and the sad, we have to look at the letter coming after the nabira. So for example, here we have a sin connected to an alif, the one with the nabirat. Meanwhile, here we have a sin connected to a ha. So, sin alif. Meanwhile, suhub. You can see what happened to the third nabira. We changed its shape. The same thing for the ya and the ba, ta, tha, nun. For example, if you want to write yajib, you do this move, then we write a jim and a ba. Ya, jib. So we have to use this move with certain letters. These letters are jim, or ha or kha. Ha. In both shapes we are going to learn 2 shapes of ha, this one and the connected one. Mim, ya. And if we came across any other letter, we would learn by that time. These letters, they connect from the top, from above, like this. Therefore, we have to change the shape of the nabira for them. So This with regards to the scene and the sheen. Mind you, the sheen takes these 3 dots. Now we've learnt the shape of the scene by itself and the how it looks like when it comes connected. We have an extra shape for the sheen if it came singular or at the end of a word. This shape sort of comes with the dots connected to it. This is something we find in Ruqa'a, and I think we could find it in certain other scripts, but in general it's just Ruqa'a. You basically, for example, mishmish, apricot, we got a meme and a sheen, then a meme and a sheen. As you can see here, we've got the 3 dots connected to the sheen. The same thing we will see in a dod. So there you go, try these words, mishmish and shams. We could also try a shams. Oh, let's go for a mishmish. So we have an alif, another alif, meme, sheen, meme, sheen. If you can't, or if you don't know how to write the meme yet, we can choose an easier word with the other scene. Let's write sahab, which means clouds. Scene, ha, alif, ba. Look at the hat too. The hat here came governed in this area. You look at this move, the nebula move, and the hat comes inside it. This way the calligraphy, the script would be neater. If you were to extrude it too much, it would look stupid. Meanwhile this one looks neat. So you have to sort of govern yourself with these dimensions. Let's have a look at the bod and the sod. Those letters are very easy since we learnt the nun move. We basically use the same move as the hat. The first move is this hat move. The second move is the bat move. 1, 2. The third one is the nun move, and the fourth one, again, the nun. So, we start with the first one. Then we do the second one. Third and fourth. Be careful we don't extrude this down here or here. And this is the nebula for the side. Let's have a look at it when it comes connected. Let's connect it with the hat, because it's hard. The hat connection is different. So sod. Then the nebula changes into this one. And let's sahib. which is a plural of sahib. Now this changed its shape because it came with a ha. Meanwhile, if it came with a ba, for example, sab, pouring, sad, you stop, you do the nabira, then you do the ba or whatever. We can see the difference between this and this. This comes with the letters we mentioned, ha, ha, mim, ya. The dad is the same thing. For example, this could be dab, which is it's a type of a lizard. Meanwhile, at the middle of a word, al-dad, for example, you stop. For the dad and the sad, when they come in middle, you do like a very long scene move. You stop here, you go up, then you go back. For example, sahib. Again, we go straight, we stop, we get out a curve like this, then we come back. This is how we write it inside a word. So if we were to write the word shakhs, person, sheen, connection, kha, we lengthen this connection to contain the sad, then we do our sad. Shakhs. This is the nabira for the sheen, and here we can see how long this is to contain the kha and the sad at the same time. What if there was a letter after the sad, dad, or like this nabira? What happens if we had a sheen or a sad and it wasn't followed by a kha? Maybe there was a letter, for example, shabah, ghost. You've got, or sabah, swam. Let's do sabah. Seen, ba, ha. So we've got the three nabirat for the seen, and here we've got the ba nabira. The same thing for the sheen and the sad and the dad. Dad at the end of a word or by itself sometimes come in this shape. This is the dot, so it's basically doing the ba move, then curving down, then up, then down. 1, 2, 3. You could just write it the normal way, or you could use this way. The va and the ta, those letters are basically a dad or a sad. They don't look different in Ruqa'a, but in other scripts they do. So here you will see that it's a lam alif ending. It's like a ra, but it's longer than a ra. It's a very long ra. So we start with this move, then we do a very long ra. We do like a straight line, then we end it, close it like this. If you are finding it hard to make this move, you could basically start with just doing a straight line and stopping here. Like this way, you will be more focused on making these moves better, and with time you will know how to do the rotation move, the ending move. The connection here for the alif, the ta'a alif, it's a bit delicate, so here we are going to just take this part of the ta, the part that's going high up, and here you've got it going down and it finished here. So when the alif connects, let's say it's coming from all the way up here, it connects like this. You see how it just balances itself on this part. We don't stick it as a whole into the ta. This is very important because if you were to stick it all the way in, it would look really awful. Let's write tabib to remind us with the more than one nabira move. Here's a ta. Ba, ya, connection, ba. And this connects from here, as you can see. Ba, ya, ba. We don't do harakat in Ruqa'a, by the way. That's the rule for Ruqa'a. Try tabib. Wa is the same thing. Now, some people do the ta when it's followed by an alif. They do this. They take this up and they would do this. This is basically the alif for the ta, and it's for the speed of writing it. For example, talib, student. Let's now move on to a new letter. Here we can see these sort of similar letters. We first started with the scene and we learned the noon move with it. Then we moved on to explaining the two shapes of the scene. Which shape to use, you have the choice and you are free to use either of them. Now with all these letters, the ba comes the high ba. So bism, we use the high ba, not the small ba. Basis, we use the high ba, as we can see here. But we will learn the ba, the ain later. So we have to use the high ba for these letters. Let's do the ain and the fa. For the ain, we have a new move here. It's basically the body of ain is the body of a ha. It's just the head that we need to change. So the ain head, we do a 1 move, then a 2 move. So we always, by the way, keep the same angle we hold the pen with. So we go 1, then 2. They sort of close on each other. Then we leave a distance here for this to come. It has to have a chin. So 1, 2, you stop, you remove the pen, you come out here and you do 3. Just like the ha, this has to be 3 points and you do 4. Again, this extrudes and this extrudes. The scaling is 2 by 2, just like the ha. The scaling for the Sad and Sheen and Seen, you got it from the Ba, so you don't have we don't scale every letter every time. This is the Ain by itself and at the beginning of a word. So Aib, Ain, yeah, but this needs to be higher. So Ain, yeah, but as we can see, this is pointing downwards. It's not looking to the right, it's looking down. It's as if it's screaming. When the Ain comes in the middle, it's basically a meme, but it connects from down. So here comes a connection. Then you either stop and do 1, 2, 1, 2, as you can see here, or you simply give it a small nudge upward, just like the Dal one, and then you would go back with it. 1, 2. Both are the same, it's just make this part look prettier if you went upward. Al-Ajab, let's see this word. Alif, Lam. Lam is basically an alif. Connection. Ain. We have a Jim here. Then a Ba. Again, we see how the word sort of builds on itself. This is inclined, this is inclined. The sort of dimensions of these words are all balanced, as we can see here. That's a very important thing to keep in mind, how to balance these words. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the moves. Then we did 9 and 10. Again, for this move, you move to the right. So you start like this, you move to the right and you curve it a bit, then you go back in a downward move. So you can see that you have this starts, that goes right, then you get a bigger side on this side because you head downwards. And you get a nice curve here. Now the scaling for this would be 1 by 1, so it's easy to make, like you can't go wrong with it, and it is closed on the inside. You don't have an opening for the Ain in Ruqa'a. This is like the meme, but when it comes as Ain, you just connect it from here. Let's see the Fa and the Qaf. For Fa and Qaf, we are going to learn a new move, which is the head move. The head is sort of 1, 2. It's like commas. You do 1, then you do 2. When you do 2, you go out here. You go this way, you don't go back. You see the neck here? We have a gap. You must have a gap here. So we do 1, 2. For a Fa, we add a Ba. 3. And for a Qaf, we add a Nun. And we add the dots here. Those are the 2 dots for the Qaf. And this is the dot for the Fa. For the middle Fa, or the Qaf, Fa, as we saw, comes close. In the middle it comes open. Don't worry about the moves, we will talk about them. And in the end it also comes open. So this is basically fa, fa, fa. Meanwhile, qaf, it comes closed at the beginning, talk about the inside, open in the middle, and closed at the end. So this is qaf, qaf, qaf. So the difference is in the end. Both of them are closed at the beginning, open in the middle. Meanwhile, the fa is open in the middle, and the qaf is closed in the open in the at the end, and the qaf is closed at the end. For the middle move, it's three parts. The first part is going up, just like a ba end. This is the first move. The second move is half a circle. The third move is basically going back. So we do 1, then 2, this is 1, then 2, then 3. The pen is writing black for some reason. Again, when you do 1, you have to go up a bit so that the 2 and 3 would show. Something very important that we need to focus on, and that is to see the line we have here. So we went up. We have an imaginary line in this area where the letter gives you this, and this line is the line that the letter goes back with. So as we can see here, this line, the letter, 3 moves show through this thing. You can see that we have sort of an eye shape here. This way you have to show the height here and here, basically. This is how you make the middle fa and qaf. At the end, it's very easy for the qaf. I mean, you just basically finish with the normal qaf. It's just the same qaf. There's nothing different about it. Now, we haven't talked about the ain at the end of a word. Now, ain at the end of a word is basically the same as the normal ain, but yeah, you finish it with this body. So that's something. Sometimes you will find calligraphers do this. That's also correct. Both of them are correct. Now, to recap today's lesson, we talked about sin, shin, sad and dad, and ain and sin and fa and qaf, as you can see here. Quick reminder, don't forget about the letters that come with a noon and those that come with a ba. The same thing with the sad and sin. Just make sure that you can differentiate between a ba and a noon. It's very important. For homework, you can write the words we've written before, or you can choose these ones. Let's write things with the fa and the qaf. So let's write faqat. Sabr, which means patience. take a look at the Ra here. This is an important move for the Ra. When you connect a Nabira with a Ra, for example Sabr or Hibr, ink, you could go up and then down, or you can do the normal way of writing it. So Sabr, Hibr comes the same, but this is prettier basically. Al-Haqq, truth. See how the lamp connects to a hat, by the way. It sort of balances on top of the hat, and we do the qaf. These are the dots for the qaf, as we said. You can also write something that ends with a fa. Hopefully these will be really good for practicing them, and hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe and share if you would love to learn this script. I will keep uploading these Ruqa'a videos. I will follow them by Diwani, and that's the basic way of learning stuff. We start with the easiest script, then we move on to the harder ones. Check the other videos on the channel if you like to watch some work of art. See you in the next lesson.